Welcome to Prism, where we aim at transparency and clarity of issues. We'll be discussing today something that really is affecting not only the United States, but throughout the world. We're talking about mass violence. And among mass violence, we deal with the issue of mass shootings. Mass shootings in the United States, particularly in schools, churches, even public places, have become an epidemic. There is an epidemic proportional growth as to the term of attacks and shootings in our country. In fact, one of the most specific and talked about began with Sandy Hook a number of years ago, where children and teachers, and including the mother of the shooter, were assassinated. But unfortunately, that hasn't been it. Names like Columbine, Virginia Tech, and 100 others have become part of the America's way of defining mass violence and death. We have somehow been immunized to the perils, the threats, and the suffering which causes that an insane or senseless assassin shoots at a crowd. The most recent one was Parkland, a school in Broward County, Florida, where 17 students and teachers were killed. Also, there are dozens of other students and teachers who are either injured, some with more, some others with less gravity. If we believe statistics, and in this case they're quite consistent, since Sandy Hook, there have been 239 mass shootings at schools in the United States. That unfortunate situation has created a crisis of epidemic proportions in the United States. Just recently, in this year, between 2017 and 2018, and please remember that we're only a month and a half into 2018, there have been the 3 worst mass shootings in U.S. history since 1949. We begin with Sutherland, Texas, where more than 26 people were killed while attending a church service. Then we go to Las Vegas, Nevada, where 58 individuals, peaceful attendees at a music festival, were assassinated by a mad shooter while attending that concert. And most recently, in our state of Florida, Parkland, Florida, where 17 students and teachers were killed and a dozen others have been gravely injured. These are one of the many examples, because since the beginning of the year in the United States, 18 mass shootings have taken place at American schools as well. Most recently, what we have received from our politicians is a combination of prayer, sorrow, best wishes, and empty rhetoric. This doesn't work anymore. Mr. Trump's speech 2 days ago aimed at uniting the nation, which is a great thing, spoke of mental health, sided with those who suffered, especially school children, but never did he articulate a cohesive policy in order to avoid, minimize, and even eliminate the threats of mass shootings in our country. And we know that it is impossible, or at least is not real, that we will be able to control and eliminate all mass shootings. But there are steps that need to be taken, and there are issues that we need to have a conversation. We have to have a conversation that leads to strict policies in terms of gun laws. We need a conversation in terms of mental health services as well. Unfortunately, the argument that mental health or affected mental health individuals have created these tragedies, and it is a valid point. The question there is, why, if that's the case, has Mr. Trump and the Republican Congress in the latest budget, and even the budget before his, have actually cut drastically into the mental health services given in our country? In fact, two very effective programs dealing with behavioral integration at schools, and another one identifying mental health situations, have been, if not eliminated, have been reduced to practically a degree of insignificance. If we need to handle issues with mental health, we have to invest more, not less. We have to give more, not less. We have to be more effective, and we have to bring results, not only at the school level, but at the workforce level as well, at the community level as well. So the time to do these things is not through speeches, not through commiseration, not through prayers. They're all good, but they do not address the issue. We need an effective gun policy, and we need to reverse a number of very lax attitudes that have prevailed in terms of mental health. In fact, just recently, Mr. Trump last year eliminated the prohibition that using Social Security mandated mental health issues, prohibited mentally health individuals, affected individuals, from purchasing weapons. That was done away with the Trump administration. That was a policy, a law that came through the Obama administration. It did not cover everything, but it did cover beyond 79,000 individuals. At the very same time, we need to have an integrated registration. We have to be extremely careful that hands do not fall in the hands of the insane or the criminally insane, for that matter. At the same time, we need to reinstate, perhaps even update, actually the weapons, the assault weapons ban of 1994 that has been eliminated. I do not think, and I think the majority of the American people today also feels like that we need war weapons, weapons that are armor-piercing weapons and bullets in order to practice a sport. This is a war, and I think all the police departments and the American people in general agree with that position. But why hasn't it happened? Well, it hasn't happened because of the great amount of contributions, political contributions, that have created a paralysis in enacting meaningful legislation to protect the American people and its interest. When the NRA donates $30 million along with gun lobbyists to the Trump campaign, when our senators and representatives have also taken large sums from the gun lobby, let's be frank, I really doubt that they will act on the best interest of the American people. And the best interest of the American people today, the real war, is the war for sanity. The real war is a war within the United States to protect the American people. Not through cuts, not through exemptions, but through meaningful, common sense legislation. And we need it today, Mr. President. We do not need more Twitters. We do not need more speeches. We do not need more rhetoric and empty ways of not addressing what really needs to be addressed. We have to be addressing gun violence, mass shootings, and the only way to do it is to do it in a number of ways. Through stricter laws, registration, background checks, which are nationally connected, a lot of school security, of course, but at the very same time, this is a war in protecting the American people. The laws, which are constitutionally formatted in protecting the rights of the Second Amendment individuals as well, it's good. But protection of our children, protection of our churches, protection of the American family comes first. And this is not being done under the Trump administration. No more Twitters. We don't need your speeches. We need you to act. You were elected. You're our president. But you also have to be the leader of this movement, the leader for sanity, and the leader for good, solid legislation in terms of gun control and protection of the American people. Thank you.